But what we're going to learn is, if one really has iman, then the next three things are naturally bound to happen. They are bound to happen. And if those things don't happen, guess what's missing? Iman. So if one wants to check if they really have iman or not, they can check by the minimal standard of iman set by Surah Al-Asr. What are the consequences of iman? What happens right after iman? Amilu salihat, tawasi bil haqq, tawasi bil sabr. If those things aren't happening, then there's something missing in iman. And by the way, all of these four are connected in a profound way. Even if you take the second case, amilu salihat. What is after amilu salihat? They act righteously. They enjoin the truth. They don't keep the good to themselves. Now they're enjoining the truth, of which I'm using the cliche translation. The idea of it is to get the truth to others. Tell others to do good too. In other words, if you are truly doing good, it is impossible for you to keep it to yourself. It's impossible. A necessary consequence of that will be you will have to share it with others. That is part of goodness. And then when you do enjoin the truth to others, you will get people that respond to you, and you will get people who hate what you have to say. And when you get people who hate what you have to say, you will necessarily need to develop what? Sabr. You're going to have it. It's a necessary, these are all connected things. One leads to the other, to the other, to the other. And we'll explore more of that as we continue, inshallah ta'ala. This is actually why this surah opens up in most explicit detail these fruits of iman that usually in the Qur'an are mentioned in one or two terms. Sometimes Allah says, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. That's enough. Because really the rest is what? Fruits of iman. Right? So if you understand iman properly, then the rest is understood. Sometimes He elaborates it a little more and says, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. He'll say two things. But in this surah, He doesn't say two things, He says four things. And if you notice, the last two things, tawasi bil haqq and tawasi bil sabr, are actually deeds in and of themselves. They are deeds. And so, amilu salihat is a deed, amal. And tawasi bil haqq and tawasi bil sabr are also a'mal, amalain. They're both actions too. In other words, what we're learning here is Allah highlighted the two actions. This is what I mentioned last time also. Allah is highlighting the two actions that get overlooked by people when they think about good deeds. The actions that they don't tend to think about when they think about doing good deeds are the ones that are explicitly highlighted, so we understand this is the bare minimum of good deeds that you need to accomplish. That is tawasi bil haqq and tawasi bil sabr included in the discussion. Know that your life is basically on the verge of death. Know that you are on the verge, on the very edge of the end of your life. Just like the sun is about to run out and darkness is about to fall, this life of your world, your worldly life is about to run out, and the death of it is about to fall upon you. Think of it like that, and then you will develop that state of emergency. Anyhow, finally, Ibn Kathir rahimahullah says, الزمان الذي يقع فيه حركات بني آدم من خير وشر. This is all time in which the activities of the human being, of the children of Adam have occurred, whether they be good activities or they be bad activities. And by saying good and bad, what he's actually telling us is that the human beings overall, what have they done more of, good or bad? They've done more bad, hence they are in khusr. Time has illustrated that they had opportunity to do both, but they ended up doing more bad than good, so human beings have ended up in loss. By understanding that implication of asr, what we're learning in وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ is human beings are in loss, and the time to change the way they are supposed to do it is right now. This is the time to change immediately. That's one of the benefits of asr in that word. We are being asked to reflect on time that is dripping away from all of us. We can get lost in the technicalities and the grammatical analysis and the quotes of the mufassirun, but let's think about how this applies to us. You and I have 24 hours in a day. How many of them are gone in sleep? How many of them are gone in work? How many of them are put into efforts to build our savings, dunya savings, pay the bills, but how much of it is being prepared so we can pay our bills in the akhirah? How much of it is going so that we can actually be ready to stand before Allah Azza wa Jal for that audit? There's the audit in tax season, then there's the ultimate audit that's coming, in which we all have to stand for every single thing that we've done. If I say this all the time, one of the benefits of this surah and using the word asr, because it's part of a day, is Allah is making us imagine our entire life as though it is how many? One day. That it's one day. If you can transform how you spend one day, basically you have transformed your life. Because you know this already. Many of you work full-time or are students full-time, or do you take care of the home full-time. a lot of your days are exactly the same. There's a lot of routine. It's the same exact thing over and over and over again. So if you can bring a change to one part of your day, you've actually transformed one part of your entire life. You've transformed an entire part of your life. And that the time to make that change is running out. And my personal advice to you, this is not part of tafsir, just personal advice, we make changes to ourselves in Ramadan. We make those changes. We make changes for Eid. We make changes, or break from our schedule on special occasions, at the death of a family member. We make changes on these kinds of special occasions, at the birth of a child, etc., etc. But then we go back to the routine. We go back to our old ways. Why do we go back to our old ways? Because we don't see the sense of urgency. You see, you don't say, man, I used to go to work on time at 9 o'clock, and I was doing that for a while, but then I just, got lazy, and now I go at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. You won't do that because you know you're going to get fired. You know there's a sense of urgency, you have to be there. And the fact that you have convinced yourself that there's an absolute sense of urgency, you have no choice but to be there on time every day, you have no choice in the matter, it automatically made your consistency easy for you. It didn't make it hard anymore. You just have to do it, you don't think twice about it. Somebody says to you, how do you do it, man? I just got to do it. I don't think about it, I just do it. That's it. Now, if we really, really believed, like we believe we will lose our job when we don't show up on time, right? If we really, really believed that we are heading for loss, and there are certain behaviors that need to enter into our life, like the regularity of salah, for example, like the abandonment of vain activity, for example, if we were really convinced that not changing our behavior will lead us to loss, like the loss of a job, right? Like, nobody's going to be late for their immigration appointment. They're going to be there 2 hours early. Right? They're going to prepare the night. They have Qiyam al-Layl the night before because it's at 6 a.m. so they won't go to sleep. They'll be there early because they are convinced this has to do with, if they don't do this, they will be in loss. If we are truly convinced this will lead to loss, then changing one day, rather changing your whole life becomes very easy. But when does it become easy? When there is belief. Which is why when Allah talked about khusr, what's the first exception He mentioned? Those who what? They believe. There's not just casually, those who believe, yeah, I'm included. No. There's not the kind of belief we're talking about here. This is real, deep conviction that what I am doing is directly connected to my success, directly connected to my failure. I better change my ways. I better get my act together. This is just in the word al-asr itself. Just in the word, how it's being squeezed and drenched away, and I don't have time. The students, those of you that are students here, you have an assignment due, and you forgot to do it. There's time running out. Right? The kind of urgency you will see in a student, the kind of urgency to study for the exam before the final, the kind of urgency you will see for an accountant in tax season, the kind of urgency you will see, for example, if you're late to work, the kind of behavior you will have at home, things will be upside down, you better not be late. You're going to turn the whole house up, nothing matters at that time. You won't care about breakfast or this or that or the other, you will go because there's a sense of urgency, you are convinced you will be in trouble if you don't do it. You're absolutely convinced. We have to compare that conviction to our conviction in terms of our deen. And our if your boss says to you, I swear to you, you are in trouble. If your boss says that to you, he says, I swear, he comes into the office, he doesn't point at you, he says, every single employee is in trouble. I swear. Every single one. They're gonna lose big. When he walks away, do you think any of the employees are saying, not me, I'm okay? Nope. He didn't specify, right? He didn't say some people are in trouble. He didn't say that guy over there is in trouble. What did he say? Every single one. You're all in trouble. And you're going to find out pretty soon, time's running out. There's a deadline. You're going to find out very, very soon how much trouble you're really in. Now when you hear that, in dunya, there's a sense of urgency. There's, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? What does he want? Why is he angry? What, is it something we're not doing? Now think about this. When you get a job, and I'm giving you these examples so we understand the rest of the surah well, inshaAllah ta'ala. This is a critical surah for the life of a Muslim. It is such a gift from Allah that He gave us 3 ayat that can change our life. You don't have to memorize Quran to change your life. Just remember Surah Al-Asr, man. SubhanAllah, how it will transform your life. How it will transform your life. Now think about this. You get a job. Your boss says to you, you got 4 tasks. Every day, you have how many? 4 tasks. Sometimes your boss gives you tasks that you're really good at. And sometimes you have tasks that you don't like doing. But because this is your job, how many tasks do you have to do? All 4. You only like 2 of them, but you still have to do 4. 2 of them you enjoy doing, 2 of them you don't enjoy doing, but you still do 4. Now if some of you decide, or I decide, I'm just going to do 2 of those. Because I'm really good at those 2. I'm not going to even touch the other 2. I'm not worried about that. He'll be okay. When he sees how impressive my first 2 are, he'll forget about the other 2. So you don't do the other 2 tasks. And the boss comes after a week, so what's the story? Where are you on the progress? I finished the first 2 100%. Oh, what about the other? Actually, I'm not going to do those. But see how good I did the first 2. What's going to happen to this person? What do you think is going to happen? He's going to keep his job? No. Even if you did not the best job, but at least you did your best for all 4. You didn't get 100%. You got a 70% for all 4. That's better than you getting 100% for one of them. You understand? So when Allah sets out 4 conditions, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, and we say, Iman, yeah, we should work on our Iman. Some good deeds. And you say, this other stuff, this is for speakers. This is for da'i, this is for the shaykh, this is for somebody, this is not for me. This is for somebody else. Then what are you doing? You're saying, Allah says, everyone's in trouble except people who meet 4 conditions, but you're only interested in 2, or 1, or 3, or whatever. You're picking and choosing, that is also in loss. It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. That's the attitude we have to develop in regards to this surah.